about, yeah, I saw it, they're going to be like, didn't you just love it? And I'll be,
Yeah, that's one of those things that kind of ruins stuff is when people are like, well, did you love it? I bet you loved it because everyone else loves it. Oh,
like,
well, it's a lot of
everyone,
comment.
I, for the life of me, cannot force myself to watch Attack on Titan, which everyone I know.
I remember, like, when we first started recording, I was watching it then, and then I really lost interest, mainly because, this might sound a little dickish of me, but once everybody starts to like it, everybody is technically, or, well, generally, usually stupid people. And once stupid people get in the mix, they kind of ruin it. Like, it's usually, like, the product, whatever it is usually fine. But it's the community, like with League of Legends and stuff like that.
Yeah, the problem I generally have, which starts to be the point that sours me, is usually the fanfic writers.
Oh, God. Yeah, like with you and XV and that one fanfiction I was writing. Still
I don't have a problem with, you know, that sort of thing. It really, you know, I've had a lot of gay friends. I just don't want to read porn about me and anyone.
If you don't read gay fan fiction about yourself and your friend, then you hate America.
Well, apparently it makes me really, really homophobic that I don't want to know about it.
Well, that's odd. That's actually one of the reasons I hate Tumblr.
Yeah.
So pretty much everyone, like, you know, teenage girls whining about their problems being 15 years old and also writing gay fan fictions and talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which I love. Except
I love Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who, but I can't deal with too many of the fans.
Yeah, the fans are just like, they're talking about how cute the Doctor is, and then they're like shipping doctors together, and you just don't want any part of it.
And the main thing that pissed me off was the new Doctor is not, I guess, not an attractive young guy. Yeah.
He's, Peter Capaldi. I actually really like his acting and stuff like that. He's a pretty cool dude, but people are like, I'm sure they're flipping their shit.
Yeah, they're shitting all over him because he's not an attractive young guy.
You know, neither was 9, but I love 9.
Well, they thought he was good enough. I just try not to think about it because it's one of those things of, alright, is this where I tell them that I've been watching Doctor Who since it was all old guys? Or British guys?
I remember the first episode of Doctor Who, not seeing it live, of course, but I mean, just watching it. Like, it's so cheesy, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sci-fi show. It's not, though, I don't agree. The creator, apparently, of Doctor Who is upset now with the way the current series is.
I kind of don't blame him. Well, no, not the series. Like, the series I think is fine. It's just what the fans are doing. Like, I guess I'd be more upset about the people who are watching it.
Well, what he's really upset about is the fact that they've added any type of sexual tension to the series. He says there should be no sex whatsoever.
It's not really about that. I mean, it's about the adventure. Like, that's what I loved about, like, 9 and 10 was, like, one of my favorite episodes was the Space Titanic one with 10.
Yes.
I love that one, and like just because I had like such a cool story and adventure to it, and like it was just so neat, and I loved it.
What's your name? Alonzo. No.
I've always wanted to say this.
I've been waiting for. Yeah, but I like Doctor Who because it is a silly show with a silly man, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch any of the older Doctor Who?
Yeah, I've watched 4, 1, and I want to say a little bit of 8.
I can't remember which one Pertwee is. He was the one that wore sort of like the Victorian-style coat and was an older guy with...
Was he one of the doctors, or was he...
Yeah, he was. He was,
did he have a long
the fourth
scarf?
one, actually.
The guy with, like, the unnecessarily long 12-foot scarf?
No, it wasn't him. I think it might have been, like... oh, God. Let me think. He might have been the third, then. But he was my favorite because the thing everyone doesn't know about him... or most people don't know about him, is he was actually a secret agent for the British Army in, like, World War II.
Really?
And so anytime you hear him talking about any type of technical shit, it's shit that, you know, is either real or semi-real.
That's always cool.
Like, he was an actual, like, really well-known martial arts master of... one of those martial arts the British made up. There were a lot of those. But... Oh, it's getting to be nice.
Using charcoal to make charcoal seems kind of weird. Also, I need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. I drank like 2 Red Bulls before this.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right back.
The house, then. Well, this is interesting. Actually, I take a break real quick.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't be drinking Red Bulls, mainly because my friend drank 2 Monster Red Bull energy drinks, and ended up having to go to the hospital because he wasn't breathing right.
Yeah, too much caffeine. Too much caffeine can fuck with your system so bad.
I'm actually kind of certain that he probably gave himself sleep apnea just because he hasn't been breathing right when he's asleep ever since.
Yeah.
He's a little idiot.
Well, you know, well, you know, as a friend, you get to you get to say when your friends are idiots. No one else does.
But you do.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I have a lot of friends who, you know, I will call them an idiot to their face for things they've done, but if anyone else did, I'd tell them, hey, fuck you.
Like the guy with the bottle bomb.
Yeah. That was not a bright move. It's one of those things of otherwise he was a very intelligent person. I was just, how did you do this?
Oh, God.
No, because the thing is, he went to engineering school.
Oh, shit, well, yeah, obviously he's smart.
So it's like you should know what's going to happen.
What was the compound inside those bottles anyway that, like, when they touched each other, they sparked?
It's some sort of mixture of a very small amount of gunpowder and other chemicals that, like, I think there's 2 different types of rocks. Yeah. Something in them that when they rub against each other, they generate just enough heat to set them off. Usually done by hucking one, and, you know, when it hits the ground, it goes off.
Huh.
I mean, they're just, I'm surprised, well, it's probably only, you know, a thing that's commonly heard of in states where other fireworks are entirely illegal.
Yeah, I forget sometimes that, like, fireworks are sometimes not. I was actually at a New Year's party, speaking of fireworks, and we were setting them off in the front yard, and a couple of them hit the neighbor's house in front. And of course, naturally, everybody scattered after that, or went inside, except for my friend Mark, who was holding a sparkler at the time and couldn't leave because he couldn't bring it inside or set it down on the floor. So the guy came outside and pretty much saw that one guy, or that one idiot there with this, like, panicked look on his face, holding a sparkler and wearing a stupid fox hat. And I'm sure that went down nicely. I didn't ask him about it because he looked pretty upset.
Yeah. So yeah, I would have just
yelled at him.
At that point, I would have pointed at the house and went, they went that way.
They went that way. Oh, that was fun, though.
That's the one thing, you know, I've had a lot of friends when you grow up in the city, there's a lot of attitude of, you know, well, if, you know, the cops come and it looks like they're going to arrest you for something that your friends did and you had no part of, you don't snitch, you just accept it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm not risking my ass. My friend actually grew up in the city, and there were a lot of instances like that. And he says, you do not run from the police unless you know that you're able to do it, because, you know, if you get caught, you're pretty much fucked. But and he's like, you know, he's had to keep his mouth shut and stuff like that, because mainly his friends would probably fuck him up if he snitched on them. And I remember that one time he actually got stabbed in the ass when he was 12. Oof. And he actually still has the scar from it. He lives in South Boston, in case you didn't know. That's a really shitty part of Boston.
Yeah.
And he got, like, apparently a lot of gangsters and stuff like that, or, like, just people in general, I guess, stab people in the ass because it's a non-fatal way to fuck somebody up. And so he was 12 years old, and I don't remember what exactly he did, but he got shanked in the ass with a switchblade. And, of course, after the initial shock went down, he pulled it out, which he should not have done. And he went to the emergency room, and they patched him up and just sent him on his way. I mean, he was 12, so they didn't really, like, you know, bill him. It was in South Boston, so they get that stuff a lot. But he still has the scar. I've seen it, and it is not in a place you really want to show people, but he did it anyway.
Yeah. See,
right,
the funny thing is I was just reading an article yesterday about, like, the most dangerous street corners or neighborhoods in America.
Yeah.
And number 1 on the list of most dangerous places to live in America...
Was it Martin Luther King Boulevard?
No, it was not Martin Luther King. It was the corner of Bel Air and Northern Avenue, which is very well known around here as a place you don't want to be caught being white.
Oh, so it's...
I hate to put it that way, but it's true.
So it's in Maryland?
Yeah, like 4 miles from me.
Right.
But it was one of those moments of, I thought about that and then went, you know, I did used to get into an awful lot of knife fights in that area. That should have been a sign. You know?
I'm trying to imagine you in a knife fight. I'm sure it happened just because of the stories you've told before. Like what? Like knife fights? Like
yeah, like people pull knives on me. I mean, I never carried a knife because I don't like fighting, but I would carry a cane or a walking stick with me, and the second anyone pulled a knife, I would hit their hand with the stick, which was usually a hollow metal pipe filled with concrete.
So technically you were like the Asian kung fu master who would like smack people's hands with his walking stick when they did something bad.
Yeah, I've broken a lot of people's hands in order to avoid fights.
Yeah, I can imagine that would hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I don't have, like, because the best thing to have is a good rattan cane. Because rattan whips like hell, and you can actually avoid hurting a person, like, permanently with that. But they'll just drop whatever they're holding, because it literally overrides your nerve endings, so your hand just goes, nope, and goes numb.
You're like some sort of karate master or something. Hey, where did you go?
I'm up on the floating island gathering resources up here since it's night.
Yeah,
that, and I was thinking that once I have this flattened out a bit, it might also be a good staging area for a rocket ship.
Oh god, and that was... Alright. Yeah, you didn't see that.
Probably.
Don't look at me. Oh, and I fell through the earth. We have achieved orbit.
But yeah, it was just one of those moments of... Then I realized that the statement, you know what, I used to get in a lot of knife fights there, was probably not the best thing to think about, you know. Like, it's like one of those, that's probably not something a normal person thinks.
You know, now that I mentioned it, I did get in a lot of knife fights. I had a lot of stuff on me. Yeah. Oh shit, there's a lot of zombies.
Well, yeah, it was just, it was just one of those things of because that's the other thing, whenever I explain to people that I used to do a lot of martial arts, they're like, oh, you must love, getting into fights. I'm like, no, I love avoiding fights.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you have either because your parents made you do it, or because it's just something that you'd think you might need later in life.
I did it because I wanted to do it, and it was a lot of fun, and I got to meet really fucking weird people.
Lose a lot of weight doing it, too.
Yeah, I did, actually, and I'd like to start doing it again. I just don't have any space.
Yeah.
I do, however, still have the punching bag, or a punching bag, that if I had somewhere to put it up, I would. Because it's the type that what you're supposed to do is fill it with gravel or soybeans.
Gravel or soybeans? That sounds a little oddly specific.
Well, the point is that it's actually denser than dirt. Once you have them there, it's, like, harder. So...
I guess.
Well,
I'm not a soybean expert, but...
So basically what you do is you hit it because the uneven texture actually causes micro fractures in your knuckles.
Oh yeah, I guess that would make sense. And that's like the same thing with the medicine ball. It's just like muscles and tearing and stuff like that, and you're healed.
Yeah. They'll heal back stronger, and I don't know if that's true, but I do know...
There was actually a study on it. I believe I remember talking about that in my health science class, about they did a study on, like, kids jumping off of things for fun, and, like, kids like to do that and get hurt and stuff like that. But the kids who did do it growing up and stuff like that had significantly stronger muscle or bones and muscles than kids who didn't.
Yeah.
It was, like 5 or 6%, but, I mean, you could still tell.
Yeah. And they used to make us essentially sit there and beat our shins with metal holes because it would actually make them much stronger.
Erect discipline.
Yes, and I know that's so many people think that's a horrible stereotype, but I have known enough people that talk exactly like that I can't think of it as one.
Yeah, see, I'm Japanese mostly, and my dad's side is also very Japanese, like to the point where they're still kind of racist.
Yeah.
I actually, going to the racist thing, my dad was actually he had a black friend growing up, and he was playing on the playground with him, and his mom saw. And of course, being, the nice old Japanese lady that she is, pulled him away from his friends and gave him an alcohol bath. And that was an interesting story to tell at the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also my dad's sister married a black man, and she wasn't very happy about that. But I think that now that she's like 80-something, she doesn't really give a shit.
Yeah.
She's kind of stopped caring. She's nice until you're black.
I was reading a great article from a woman who was like 3/4 Japanese and like 1/4 Korean.
Right.
And she was talking about having lived in Japan all her life, the things she has to deal with.
Right.
And the #1 thing was judgmental little old ladies.